Bloomberg Business Flash. Tom, Francine.
And Taylor, thanks so much. What you've been waiting for, Stephen Roach on the central bank, but we need to hear from Chair Yellen first. What an interesting press conference yesterday. Let's listen in right away.
There's nothing set in stone about the policy paths that you see in the summary of projections. There's a great deal of uncertainty around them. Not only is there disagreement, there's also uncertainty. And FOMC participants have been revising their views over time, and they will continue to do so.
Okay, Chair Yellen yesterday, what a joy to have Stephen Roach with us, inventing Morgan Stanley economics years ago and now a shingle out at Yale University. I made this chart for Professor Roach. I made this chart for him. This goes back 60 years, even longer than Steve Roach's career. And on radio, all you need to know is the slope of the Dow, adjusted for inflation, is, well, pretty good. And then it gets steeper. And then coming out of the financial engineering of the modern age, it gets ever steeper again. Slope matters, steep, steep, steep. And it really signals your leadership of a debate over asset bubbles. Is that what you heard yesterday in the press conference? Was a rationalization of asset bubbles, including a market ever higher?
Well, thanks, Tom. I've been called a lot of things, but never a shingle. The unmistakable conclusion that I draw, a decade after this crisis, is that once an inflation targeter, always an inflation targeter. Central bankers are having a really hard time normalizing balance sheets when inflation's low. This should not be an inflation-dependent exercise.
What should it be then?
It should be driven purely by financial stability and by lines like, you show me on this chart. If you look, I looked at this last night, in preparation for, I know, the tough questioning.
You planned hours.
I knew I was going to get raked over the coals. I knew Francine was here.
Yeah.
So
Christine.
Funny, Tom. I looked at central bank balance sheets for what the BIS calls all advanced economies. And over the numbers are very clear. Over the 2008 to 2017 period, the balance sheets expanded by about $8.3 trillion. Nominal GDP for the same economies expanded like $2.5 trillion. So there's excess liquidity, which is of over $5.5 trillion, which is driving lines in that chart right there.
Mervyn King was,
take it out.
Mervyn King was stunning yesterday in his criticism, a collegial criticism of what we're doing. And his most sharpest comments was the language that all of our viewers and listeners witnessed yesterday. It seems almost a verbal struggle of forward guidance or press conference guidance to rationalize where we are right now. What do you want a new chairman to rationalize? What do you want the new chairman to do to change this dialogue that you've been so critical of?
It's pretty simple. The crisis is over. We still have policy levers largely at their emergency crisis-determined setting. So let's return on a methodical basis the policy levers to normal, so we have the ability to control our economies the next time we have a problem.
Here's the reality. It's
very simple, Tom.
Right. I'm on the surveillance Sikorsky this morning, and the guy is telling me he has no savings account. The guy driving me in the car tells me he's getting no money. And the public is living what Steve's talking about.
Right.
And he's flying a Sikorsky, and you're in it?
Yeah, that's surveillance Sikorsky. It gets us around Manhattan.
At 3:30 a.m. in the morning.